Lifeline is all about enabling digital confidence. There's a lot happening in the digital space, especially now with COVID being so prevalent, and a lot of organizations seem to be battling with the concept of trying to keep up with keeping their staff informed and connected and available and able to collaborate and do what they need to do, while taking care of issues around customer privacy and staff's time pressures and ability to work from home. So the purpose of today's episode is to start touching lightly upon these topics and to give us an opportunity to unpack them in greater detail as we go along from episode to episode. So I'd like to thank you for joining me this evening. I hope that you found the session informative and helpful. And like I said, it's not intended to be a deep dive. The idea is for us to unpack this in more detail as we go along, episode by episode. So with no further ado, let's move on with the presentation today and have a discussion around this. Feel free to participate and ask questions and leave your comments on the various platforms that we're broadcasting on. We're going to be broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, so you'll be able to pick this up on Periscope, YouTube or Facebook. So the topic for tonight is all around adopt the progress. So I think a lot of activities have happened that have accelerated the need for organizations to perhaps try and catch up with what their staff have managed to learn and how they've managed to embrace the capability of the new digital world. Our argument and suggestion is that there's a new world order, not only a new world order, but particularly, or let me rather rephrase that, to a new work order that will allow us to be that much more effective and capable in the marketplace with our customers. So the idea is to look at three fundamental trends. We've got an aging workforce. I think everybody will agree that there is particularly a challenge around that activity of understanding what type of generation employees we've got. So we've got the baby boomers, we've got the Gen X, we've got the Gen Y, we've got Gen Z. So we need to make sure that we are giving the different age groups of the workforce an opportunity to engage with us on whatever platforms we would want as employers and as managers. And then secondly, there's a tremendous amount of information overload. So we would like to just unpack that in some detail to understand how we can actually help improve that situation and give staff the capability to focus in on the things that they need to. And that in essence entails us as managers and employers having the ability to be able to meet our staff where they are, to allow our teams to meet each other where they are. So there's a huge emphasis and capability that is required to make sure that we can meet the new workforce where they are typically used to operating and transacting digitally every day. So we need to make sure that we adopt an attitude and a philosophy of mobile first. So we need to make sure that we can allow our staff to interact and engage and consume information and to be able to find information on our organization and what we're about and what we're wanting to achieve on the handheld devices that they're so used to using. Like Linda said in her slot this morning, there's been a 10% or 10% increase in the amount of time that people are spending on their mobile devices over the last year. So more and more activity is happening on a mobile device, be it a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop. Wherever people are engaging and interacting is where we would need to stretch out our hands, so to speak, and to be able to meet them there where they're at, rather than trying to force them to do what we would want them to be doing. And then thirdly, there's a need for speed. I think there's an overwhelming challenge that things are moving faster and faster, and the organizations need to make sure that we can keep abreast and keep pace and allow our workforce to move faster, to collaborate quicker, to collaborate in a safe environment that doesn't allow our customer privacy to be compromised in any way, doesn't put our corporate information at risk in any way. So it's very important that we can be agile enough to be able to put digital systems in place that allow our staff members and our teams to operate naturally in a space where they're used to operating. We're not wanting them to be able to behave differently when they're inside the corporate firewall, so to speak. We need to make sure that they can collaborate and operate the way that they're comfortable doing and the way that they do every day in their own environments and their own personal lives. So if we don't give them the capability to receive corporate information, we don't give them the capability to transact on their job day to day and to collaborate not only with customers and team members, but also with having the capability to be able to operate in a natural way that they're finding themselves operating outside the corporate firewall, so to speak. So we need to be able to make sure that we can give them that capability where they can do that with confidence and trust, and to make sure that there's no opportunity for risk for the organization or for the individual that is operating. So if we look at the digital work order, which is something that we need to focus on and really give our attention to, we need to make sure that we can support changes in working styles. There needs to be greater transparency and a better leverage of the online world. I think our staff are becoming that much more comfortable and that much more capable and that much more enabled to be able to operate in an online world, more so than perhaps what they have been having to do prior to COVID. I think COVID has accelerated the whole digital work order transformation process. There's a lot of change that's happened in there, and we need to make sure that we can provide that transparency and leverage on that online world capability that our teams have now, and to give them the tools to be able to let them do their job in the manner in which they're used to interacting socially as individuals. We need to unify offline and online communications to keep our teams connected via their mobile devices anywhere at any time, to be able to access the tools and the corporate information that they need to access. So it's up to us as managers and supervisors in the organization, it's up to us as business owners to make sure that we can give them the tools that allow them to work in that manner, but at the same time to safeguard ourselves. And there's many different tools that are out there. I'm personally very much tool agnostic. I think the key thing that we need to make sure that we operate with is to make sure that we protect our customers' privacy, which we're compelled to do, and then to make sure that we also remove any risks for any compromising situations around our corporate information that is entrusted to our teams to work with. And then thirdly, we need to focus on the individual. What they want the same user experience that they have outside the organization where they are operating on quite capably. So it's up to us to make sure that we provide choice, flexibility, and the opportunity for them to personalize their interaction. So it's not so much nowadays about the regimented machine out there to make sure that everyone operates and works in the same way and everyone has to conform, and we need to make sure that every logo is in the top right hand corner or that every strap line is in the bottom left hand corner. I think those type of things we need to make sure that we manage that seamlessly without having to have to make any issue about it. So it's about the tools and templates that we make available to our staff that they can use to collaborate and engage, and they need to basically have that flexibility to be able to consume the corporate information, particularly internal communications type of information that we want to share with our staff. So we need to make sure that we can compete for their attention, because that's what it's all about. You can imagine the amount of time that individuals spend on their digital devices. We need to make sure that we are there competing for their attention as a corporate with the information that they need to be able to have at their disposal, that they need to consume, and that they need to use to keep themselves informed and abreast of what's happening inside the corporate organization. So the key criteria that we want to start a drumbeat on, so to speak, is to make sure that we explore, we experiment, we enable and we establish the new work order with confidence. So it's about making sure that we perhaps even include them in that process of saying, okay, what have you guys learned over the last while, where you've been working from home, where you've been investigating different tools and options, and to start a conversation. Explore the opportunities that they have exposed themselves to, and understand what it is that you can embrace as an organization to be able to achieve that. So we need to make sure that we create and support virtual collaboration environments that allow our teams to stay connected in a virtual work environment. If we aren't allowing our staff to connect and to interact virtually, we're going to really set our organization backwards in terms of not having the capability to keep our teams on top of what's happening. Because particularly some organizations have a schedule around making sure that a certain percentage of staff are coming to the office on certain days of the week. So we need to make sure that those that aren't coming in can collaborate with each other outside the organization, as well as being able to collaborate with those inside those. So if I'm in work on Tuesday, I need to be able to collaborate with the people that aren't at work on Tuesday, and also need to collaborate with them on Monday when they're at work. So it's making sure that we've got that capability where we can create this virtual environment that can complement the day-to-day interactions that happen in person in the offices on a limited scale. So like I was saying earlier, we need to balance that, and it's critical to make sure that our customer privacy and operational risks, those issues are addressed. So then we need to start experimenting with these different options that have been coming up as suggestions from our staff to understand what is it that they've experienced that we can actually embrace and incorporate. Again, making sure that we don't compromise anyone through the process. Once we've understood what it is that we can embrace, what it is that we can use, we need to enable that across the organization holistically to make sure that we keep things locked down that need to be locked down, but yet accessible in a transparent, open, personalized way. And then we need to establish best practice procedures and policies that we can entrench within the organization to make sure that we all move forward in this new work order, and we all do it with confidence. So there's some organizations, or some individuals rather, in organizations that are more tech savvy than others, and I think they, as natural leaders, will come to the fore, and they will be able to assist and help those that are less confident around these issues and procedures, to be able to help them to become champions and to become the superheroes that we want them to be in the digital online space. So by enhancing productivity, we provide our teams with the right tools that allows them to access the right information at the right time. So when they need to get some information, they need to be able to access it and get it and be able to utilize that information as powerfully and as quickly as they would like to do. You don't want people being slowed down by the need to be able to have to go then and find out where they can get information or get access to it, or say to the customer, well, I'm back in the office in 2 days' time, and then I'll be able to access our corporate information, and then I'll be able to get back to you with the information that you need. No, we need to make sure that our staff can access the information that they need at any time, from any location, on any device. So it's up to us as owners and managers in organizations to make sure that we can enable that. So we're in a very competitive situation where we need to win the talent war. And the only way we can do that is by offering progressive and innovative environments that the top candidates now expect in the workplace. So it will allow us to become that much more effective in not only retaining the talent that we've got, but also to attract the new talent that we would want to attract, to be able to allow us to become competitive in the marketplace, to take our organizations forward with confidence, and to make sure that our staff can deliver our brand promise in the most effective and customer-centric way possible. So Roy is going to be unpacking some issues around the customer experience, and he's going to start touching on that in the Cape Up show, which will be taking place at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning. And he's going to continue to unpack and evolve the discussion around how we can make sure that we provide exceptional customer service at this time, particularly with the constraints and frustrations that we've got. And I'm confident that by doing these things and putting these processes in place, we're going to allow our staff to become the superheroes that we want them to be, to allow them to make the decisions that they need to make, to be able to equip them with the information that they need to make those decisions, to be able to deliver that brand promise and to exceed the expectations of the customer. So it's very, very important that we allow our staff to be able to do these things and to achieve these objectives that we are wanting them to achieve. So one of the segments that I'll be covering during our Lifeline discussions on a Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock is I'm going to be having a Netpresenter Minute where I'm going to just touch on some aspects of the Netpresenter product. It is a product that we are the partner for, has talked to us across the African Union territory, and we are responsible to represent the product and to assist organizations once they've purchased the appropriate licensing to be able to use a product powerfully and effectively. So as you can see, there's a number of components that make up the product Netpresenter. You've got a corporate screensaver capability that you can manage remotely, no need to be inside the firewall, no need to be able to make sure that people are logging onto the corporate network to be able to receive it, and that gives you an opportunity to push out messaging on the screensaver platform to be able to communicate with your staff on various things that they need to be kept abreast of. At the same time, you can also manage the corporate wallpaper through the Netpresenter product. So on Windows 10, you know there's that capability where you've got the desktop wallpaper. You'll be able to then push out an image and a message on that. We'll assist and help you around how to configure that and to allow space for desktop icons on the one side and the messaging on the other. You can also manage the Windows 10 corporate lock screen via Netpresenter, and again that allows you to push out those messaging every time the person locks onto the machine. You'll be able to then present them with a message that you want them to be able to see and understand and to perhaps even take action on. You also have the ability to publish desktop alerts. So similarly, like an email has a toast notification, a desktop alert will pop up in a similar way. It's integrated with the Windows 10 Notification Center as well, so it'll pop up and queue there to get their attention at a later stage if they don't action it immediately. And that again allows you then to be uppermost in people's mind with the information that you're wanting to share. You can manage a corporate digital signage network through flat screens with Netpresenter. There's a news and safety app that is associated with the Netpresenter app, and that allows you then to send that corporate information and to compete for that screen time that you're wanting to compete on a mobile device, be it a tablet or a smartphone, where you'll be able to then also send out communication messaging. And it's typically a news type app where you can segment it into departments, into functions, and you can also have distribution lists similar to Outlook, where you can publish messaging to different parts of the organization or different geographies with information. You can send out text and push notifications, and there's also what they call the SharePoint connector, which is so much more than SharePoint. It's basically an API connector that allows you to push out information in an automated way onto the Netpresenter app as well. So that's the Netpresenter Minute, perhaps 2 minutes today, but I'll try and keep it short in future. So I just want to thank you for your time and your attention. I hope you found the session enjoyable. If you've enjoyed the session, I invite you to subscribe to the Talk to Us channel, to throw a like our way. It really helps us with the algorithm at the different service providers, being YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope, that allows us to understand how you are receiving this information. So moving on, next week, Tuesday, I'll be unpacking these topics that I've touched on very briefly in some more detail, and we'll start diving deeper into these concepts and to see what we can do as organizations and leaders of organizations to be able to equip our staff to be that much more effective and powerful in the workplace. So thank you very much, good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, where we've got Oliver up that will be touching on the corporate culture. And I know he's got some very informative stuff that he'll be sharing over a period of time as well. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I do appreciate it, and we'll see you again tomorrow at 8 o'clock.